There are elements of passion that we need to bisect and understand if we're going to have a good conversation about it. And
All right, before we do that, what's the
me
difference between bisect and dissect? Because this guy here with the words.
bisect, cut it in two, dissect, you break it in two. Now listen. Now listen.
I love it. I love it.
Welcome back, family. We back in here with episode 2 of the 8 P's of Male Masculinity.
We back.
We back. How's it going, Kev?
I'm good, man.
Yeah,
Ready to hop into passion, man. I'm feeling passionate.
What did we do? We did something with purpose, though. We took purpose. We looked at it from this side. We looked at purpose from that side. We danced around purpose. We picked purpose up. And we said that a man identifies his purpose early on. Those are the best and most productive opportunities to catch purpose. So we're in here to talk about passion today. It's the second episode in the 8 P's of Male Masculinity. And what is passion? Let's talk about what passion is. Passion, the way we're going to discuss it today, we'll set the baseline. We'll say passion is that internal boil of energy and life force each man brings to living on all fronts in every area of his life. Passion is really the glue that holds us to purpose once we get it, right? And our outcomes. Mm-hmm. And I'll hold it there before we jump deep into it. Let's start off with that statement.
Well, I think for me, when I think about passion, I think about two different things that ultimately become one, but it's really two different things. So when I think of passion, I'm thinking like, what are you passionate about? Mm-hmm. And then what are your passions?
Okay.
Right? I feel like they're two different things, but I think we're gonna hop into it and realize that it's one thing.
Right.
But I could attack the easiest one first. It's like passionate. Like, what are you passionate about? And I think it's really important, especially as parents early on, to figure out what your child is passionate about, because those are the things that you want to push them in, as long as it's fruitful.
Absolutely.
And good fruit we're talking about, as long as it's positive. You want to make sure that you push them. So if you realize that your child is passionate about reading, then you want to give them tons of books. So I'm
Absolutely.
saying you feel like they're passionate about math, you want to send them to math camp instead of regular camp, So you want to make sure that as a parent or guardian that you're paying attention to what your kids are passionate about. And I think it's the same for different aspects too. It's like teachers too. They have to realize what their kids are passionate about, because that'll be the best way for you to teach them.
Absolutely.
Like, you can't teach every kid the same, and you're not going to get them motivated the same, with the same things.
This is true.
So you want to find out what they're passionate about.
This is true.
And then, go in through there. And before I jump into passions, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on what I would say is the second frame of passion, which is really, it's the result of a strong desire for development, right? And advancement that's kind of kindled in the heart of young people in particular.
Yeah.
Right. So in a social development type of idea, passion is the energy force that we develop at a young age, oftentimes, right? It's my belief that the height or the level of passion that we tap into when we're young is the level of passion that we will carry throughout all of our years. There is a developmental dynamic talking about teaching young kids. Mm-hmm. There's a developmental dynamic where children, they have a lot of energy. They go through adolescence.
Yeah.
Puberty comes and hits, and hormonal changes happening inside their bodies. And we know this particularly with young boys, they need an activity.
Yeah.
boys need something to do. If if we're just focusing that the attention or the lens of passion on developing young boys, we know that they need physical activities to do, because at that point in time in life, they're starting to see themselves, the strength that they bring to the world.
Yeah.
Right? Their bodies are changing, their voices are changing, their facial structures are changing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're starting to develop hair on their face,
Yeah.
and throughout the different physiological things going on. So passion is something that I believe is kind of stoked
Mm-hmm.
and cultivated when in the hands of the right person, can lead to real positive outcomes for young people.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it, people who have made great strides in life and become great at their art or their science.
Yeah.
They've been people who, in a lot of ways, have started tapping into their passion at a very young age. You think about
Yeah.
computer scientists breaking down and building up computers in their garages and ultimately developing, a platform, a brand, and a business that revolutionized the world. You think about any number of people. Sometimes we have, visual artists or vocal artists or people who play instruments. Oftentimes, these are things that they develop early on in life, right? And they develop a passion for it, right? And so, in that case, passion is attached to something in particular.
Yeah.
It's my belief that whatever the passion may be attached to, or whatever the passion may springboard from, in these early years, that's the height or the level of passion that we're going to carry forward
Mm.
in life, right? This is the a working theory for me in terms of passion. And I see, 13, 14, 15 years old, when we're coming into an awareness, right? When we're stair stepping into awareness of who we are as people, and even moving into young adults, we will have developed a yearning for what we're going to do in life in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you talk to some young people, some of them are really tied in and tapped into what they want to do in the world. I want to do this. I want to change the world. The
Yeah.
excitement,
Yeah.
right? The inspiration that comes from and through them
Yeah.
sometimes can be very high.
Yeah.
Right. And they see the world through rose colored glasses oftentimes. And these are good characteristics, because what's supposed to happen is there's supposed to be community and family and structures that are around the young people, so that when they come into that period, and that opening, right, that portal of development for themselves, now their passion can be stoked like a fire. We put some coal in there. Yes, go ahead. You can be what you expect to be. You can be a doctor. You can be, a lawyer, or whatever the passion is attached to for that person. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, young people have desires for what they see,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we can talk about this. I mean, I think we hit on it a little bit when we are talking backstage about our concerns about what's being put before our kids,
Yeah.
because that's often what they become passionate about.
Yeah.
Is their passion wrong? No, they need to be passionate about something,
Yeah.
but it might be passionate about, a star,
Right.
someone who's highly publicized and well known and seems to be making all the money. Sometimes it might be a street hustler,
Mm.
or somebody who's into street life. Unfortunately, this is what's put before young people oftentimes. So they attach their passions at that time when they're coming and developing into who they're going to become. And they attach the passions to what they see.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wonder why they're running around and doing what they do. But, have we really dropped the ball? Have we, I mean, we collectively as a society, have we been, absolute and definite about building structures and allowing community to form around the opportunities that young people have at a time when they're starting to grow into who they are, and develop the passions that they will carry for the rest of their lives?
Well, I do think passion is somewhat genetic as well.
Hmm. Talk
I,
about it.
well, I think I think some things are genetic. You know, I think some things. So if I
You mean
like I'm a
abilities, like physical abilities, or
yeah, but even down to things that you like you'll see that a father and son or a mother and daughter will be like, oh, I like this too. Oh, you like that too? Oh yeah, no, I love this too.
yeah, yeah,
And it was like I feel like it's genetic because you could say it's because the child has been around the parent for so long,
hmm,
but the child also has the option to not like what the parent likes, and there's many instances where that happens. So
yeah,
I think that some of the passions can be genetic, and even down to no, sorry to say, but like the like of drinking.
hmm,
You know, like some people say like that's genetic. That's just in the like I've heard it before, you know, that's just in the family, right?
yeah,
So these are some passions that sometimes can be genetic and just hopping into the next side of things. I think I spoke about passionate, but also I want to speak about passions,
yes,
which I think is more like desires and wants.
hmm,
And to there's a hierarchy to passion. You know, you could be very passionate about something, but you can also be passionate about things that you don't know that you're passionate about. So if you're drinking a lot, you're not going to say, "Yo, I'm passionate about I'm passionate about drinking," but you are.
hmm,
You know, if you go out every weekend, you're not going to say, "Yo, I'm passionate about going out," but you are. What do you
absolutely.
say about that?
Yeah, you're really taking the conversation back to a discussion that we had in the Purpose Over Passions video.
Okay.
And in the Purpose Over Passions video, we talked about developing this first P of male masculinity purpose, but placing that over the things that might draw us back from real development
Hmm.
as a person. And I'm hearing you bring this conversation back in terms of what passions a person might be tripped up over, right? The passions that might arrest our attention, the passions that might grab our focus, the passions that might drive our actions. And these passions are things that take us out of the ability to regulate ourselves in a way. So now, this is interesting you're talking because in this developmental sphere that we're presenting, you know, a person will have developed the awareness of their purpose. Now this is a development, a course of human development, because if you remember on this channel we talk about awareness. First we talk about identity, we talk about esteem, and we talk about awareness, and then what folds into that is purpose. So as we grow, now these happen for people at different stages, at different levels, and different paces, right? Identity, esteem, and awareness. Some people come into this very early in life. Some people much later in life.
Hmm.
Some people fold into purpose later in life, right? So when we talk about developing passion, developing purpose, and we're talking about with young people, we're saying that, you know, the ideal phase of human dynamic development would be when they're young. We like to capture the young,
Hmm.
right? I mean, there's a saying, you know, that they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Hmm.
There's some truth to it, but it's not absolutely true,
Hmm.
right? But we have those phases of human development where we develop identity, esteem, and awareness and purpose. And so when we do that, the more mature we are in that process, the more likely we are not to fall into passions that are gonna take us under.
Hmm.
Sometimes people are compensating or overcompensating or trying to find a way to deal with life, what life brings them, that they otherwise don't have the facility to face
Hmm.
head on and to keep it in balance, right? We all have those challenges and issues in life that really take us for a loop, throw us for a loop, or that require a lot more of our attention, energies, and resources that we could otherwise give to positive things.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's what you're tapping into. Sometimes we get taken down the path of dealing with things that don't really serve us very well.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about drinking to excess.
Yeah.
Or anything to excess.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So what I think about what you said is absolutely on point, that, you know, when we really come into a place where we are in line with a good phase of development, those things are not going to really have control over us.
Yeah.
We'll have control over it. And that's why I say
Right.
purpose over passion, meaning the passions that could take us under, but the passion that we develop, that's the glue that holds us together,
Mm-hmm.
is a positive, and it's a harnessed energy.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully. Because like I think I said this like before, but when I'm going through these 8 P's of male masculinity, I'm thinking about what I'm going to teach my sons.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about passion, I'm thinking passion is like a thermometer for purpose.
Okay.
Right? So if you check your passions,
listen to this guy.
if you check your passions, you'll ultimately see where your purpose is, or you'll at least see the direction that you're going, in which you're pushing yourself to your ultimate purpose or your ultimate non-purpose, right? Because, example, if you're 19, 20 years old, find yourself, and I think that's a bad age because, you know, we all kind of wild out around there. So let's say 25, 26 years old, 27
Okay.
years old, find yourself going out every night,
Mm-hmm.
drinking every night.
You're right.
You with girls every other day,
Mm-hmm.
new ones, chasing money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you need the new car, you need the fresh, you need this, you need that.
I can remember those days.
But if you check your passions at that moment, in that snapshot,
Right.
where is that going to lead you in the future? If you continue down that road with those passions or those things that you're passionate about, and you might not know that you're passionate about it, because passionate usually is attached to something beneficial or positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you are
Definitely.
passionate about those things because you're doing it over and over, week by week.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that going to lead you ultimately? And then ultimately, that will be your purpose if you continue down that path for a certain amount of time.
Right.
Good or bad.
Right.
Right. So I think the way that I would bring this to my sons is, you know, what you're passionate about ultimately comes down to what you're exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, some genetics, like I said, like some of it is just gonna be genetic. Like, you're just gonna like house music. Like, it's just, or you're just gonna, you know, you're just gonna like basketball. Like, it just is what it is. But then it's also what you're exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if when you were a kid you were exposed to this type of lifestyle, then 9 times out of 10 the things that you're passionate about will come from that lifestyle.
Interesting.
And if you're exposed to this type of lifestyle, 9 times out of 10 your passions will come from this type of lifestyle. And then we also have to weigh the fact of how you feel about that. So if you're brought up as a kid, if you're brought up and this type of lifestyle was presented to you, but it was told to you that this lifestyle is not really the way that you want to go, you kind of want to go with this, then you might say to the passions that are over here, you know, I really don't want to do this because I was told that this isn't good. Maybe I should have some passions that are over here. So it also weighs on how you feel about your circumstances or the things that are being fed to you.
It's interesting.
So it's very, I think it's a little deeper than we can even go right now, because there's so many different avenues.
I'm not sure. I think we can unpack it. I think we could.
There's so many, but
with it.
there's so many different avenues that you can go as far as passion. But the way that I would bring it to my sons is,
okay,
you can't make passion. Like, you can't make yourself passionate about something. You either like it or you don't. The thing is, when you start to see that you like something, weigh it. Once you weigh it, if the good outweighs the bad, you can keep it.
Mm-hmm.
If the bad outweighs the good, I would implore you
Hmm.
to try to get it out your life.
What's interesting? Listening to you talk, I can see the pragmatic and practical application
Yeah.
of passion.
Yeah.
And hearing you talk about even with young people what they're exposed to and how what they become passionate about might flow out of their exposure,
Hmm.
right? And also teaching your kids about how to weigh and negotiate their relationship with what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I listen to it, and then I listen to my own internal voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At
Yeah.
the same time, and 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 they are different parts of the conversation, I think, right?
Hmm.
And they're both valuable parts of the conversation because I think of passion as that internal boil of energy
Hmm.
and life force,
Right.
right? So passion. You want to know what the passion I have today? At this stage, I'm in the fourth quarter of life, so to speak, or going towards the fourth quarter of life,
Right.
so
I
to
wouldn't
speak.
say you're in the fourth.
Going, I'm in the third. I'm in the late third, and but I can honestly say that the passion that I have today is the same passion that I had as a young man. Now, it was attached to different things at that time. It was attached to different things at that time. But the energy force, my life
Hmm.
force
Hmm.
of looking toward my future was there at that time. And there was a time in life where it ebbed, right? Did it change? No, it ebbed.
Hmm.
And I kind of lost the attachment to that that ball of energy, that
Yeah.
life force.
Yeah.
But then, as life would have it, things started happening in life where it came back up. It was still there. That life force, that boil of it. And now today, this passion is being attached to something else. It's being attached to talking about the APs of male masculinity even today. And
Okay.
I think about it, what was the thing that caused me to have the passion early on? Or what was the influence? And maybe it was part of what you said. It was part of what I was exposed to. It was
Hmm.
part of what I seen. And to your point about DNA, I do agree with you. I think about passion, you got to remember from the perspective of a life force. But I believe even that life force is something that is developed organically when we are created,
Hmm.
if you ask me,
Hmm.
right? The passion, and then it just grows. That's why I talk about identity, esteem, and awareness, because these are things that we unearth
Hmm.
as we develop and grow.
Yeah.
And so talking about passion, I can just remember the days when I felt the boil. And I can remember days where I felt like I lost the boil.
Hmm.
But there's been a phenomenal amount of things that I've attached the passion to
Hmm.
over the years. Now, what I think is the difference between someone who does that and someone who doesn't? It's exactly what you talked about. Your approach to how you are going to help your children navigate life and an awareness of who they are.
Hmm.
So they have you as a present dad, right? Now, respectfully, not everybody takes that opportunity. Oftentimes, that opportunity is kind of moved out of reach for a lot of men, if we're going to be honest, right? But for those who have the opportunity, it is important, right? And sometimes we as parents, for whatever reason, whether we're opting to be there or we're fighting to be there, we're able to be there and have influence. But for those who don't, for whatever reason, that opportunity or that responsibility is abdicated. And that's the concern that I really have, and the critique that I really have is where we have the opportunity, where we have the power, where we have the reach, where we have the leverage. Are we doing what we need to do to be aware that we have, we are charged with helping young people develop an awareness of themselves and develop a passion about life?
I think we're gonna hash it out before this next break, but and I'm not laying this out to say that you're wrong, but I think what we're interchanging is passion and motivation, right? Because what I'm hearing you say is, and I want to clear it up for everybody, when he says life force, he means energy.
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
and energy that you have, which I can see, and I think is right as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I also then, if for me, if you say that, then passion becomes motivation, and that's why it ebbs and flows, because you can lose motivation
Mm-hmm.
or you can gain motivation.
Correct.
But for me, with passion, you can do a passion with low energy. Like I said, somebody can go out every weekend. They're not they don't even have to be like hyped about it. They can just be doing it, and it's a passion of theirs because they do it excessively. And I think when you're passionate about something, you do it excessively. Like, we like to use like athletes.
Okay.
Kobe was passionate about basketball.
Right.
Michael Jordan was passionate about basketball. It's something that he did every day. You know what I'm saying? He went shot however many shots in his backyard every day because he was passionate about it. Now, there was a motivation factor there, which motivated him to do it at a higher level. But there are also some kids out there who just play basketball every day, but they are not Michael Jordan.
Right.
They're passionate about basketball, but they don't have the motivation to go shoot 100 baskets instead of 10. So I'm thinking passion can also live without motivation. You know what I'm saying? Or without constant motivation.
So, what do you think about this statement? It's interesting. I do hear motivation, right? Um, I also hear enjoyment. What do you enjoy
Yeah,
doing?
for sure.
Right. And when we're speaking about passion, so this statement here says passion is the result of a strong desire for development
Mhm.
and advancement that is kindled in the heart of a young person. And I like to hear what you think about that.
Say it one more time.
Passion is the result of a strong desire for development and advancement that is kindled in the heart of a young person.
I think the first part is correct. I think the rest, respectfully, is wrong.
Now let me throw something else at you.
Yeah.
Right? Ideologically, passion, true passion, is what is left when you strip away everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said it. A person can be motivated or passionate when there's low energy or low motivation.
Yeah.
And I think we're keying in on something here.
Yeah.
Right? Because passion, when there's nothing else, let's say someone who fell on real hard times, right? And they're out there and they have nothing. No family, no spouse, no people really in their corner, and they're out there. And they make a determination, I have nothing else, but I'm gonna grind. I'm gonna get up out of, this zero position, right? And I'm gonna use whatever I have, that internal boil of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's the essence of passion. Now there are expressions of passion which we see in things that people do. They may bring a passionate energy to what they do
Mm-hmm.
for the moment. But the essence of passion is that thing, it's that engine. It's our internal engine that pushes us no matter what. And when that passion is attached particularly to purpose, It's the thing that drives us and moves us to keep going forward.
Let me pause you there.
Okay,
Let's
sure.
take a quick break.
Yeah.
Take a quick break, and we're gonna come right back on that.
All right, let's do that. Yo, let's continue this conversation because I think I realized something on that brief break, that there are elements of passion that we need to bisect and understand if we're gonna have a good conversation about it. And
All right,
those
before we do
let,
that,
me,
what's
let
the
me
difference between bisect and dissect? Because this guy here with the words.
bisect, cut it in two, dissect, you break it in two. Now listen. Now listen.
I love it. I love it.
With passion, I'm coming to realize that there's an essence of passion, and then there's an expression of passion.
Okay.
There's an essence of passion, and there's an
Yes.
expression of passion.
You are right.
And we're talking past that understanding. It just came to me.
Yeah.
That so what I'm speaking to is
The expression.
harnessing the essence of passion during a developmental cycle.
Okay.
And what Kev is talking about is really understanding the expression of passion in its myriad forms, in its different forms of expression, and how that can show up during our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll leave that there and let you actually piggyback and see.
I'm gonna go back to the last statement that you left us with before we went to break. And like I said, you're not wrong, but you're just missing one part. You expressed that,
What part?
passion is that essence. If used correctly with purpose,
Yes.
then it's a dynamic thing. But I think what it is passion is the thing, like you said, that you like to do. The motivation attached to the right passion is what you're talking about. So it's the passion with the motivation. Like you're passionate about basket. You're passionate about math, right? With good and excessive motivation, that can turn you into one of the greatest mathematicians. But just being passionate about math is not going to get you anywhere. You feel what I'm saying? So when you attach motivation, excessive motivation to passion, then it's almost a slingshot to purpose, if that's your purpose ultimately.
I have to marinate on that connection to bake that cake, so to speak. The way you present it, I would say to that the passion is going to be there. The passion is the force that glues us to whatever we're doing, right? So if you say, if you're designed to be passionate about, maybe, right? But I think that can change over time. I think the important part is that we come to understand that we develop passion as a true and raw material. That's what I'm saying. We develop passion as a raw material for life. As a matter of fact, if we miss that developmental stage and our passions aren't, what do you call it? Stoked up, so to speak. You'll see some people who are just, and dispassionate about life, not really. Maybe the word we could use is ambitious. I don't want to,
I think you're just moving away from my
I don't
word.
want to add another element, but let me say this, right? There are people who I think have missed their real port of opportunity to do something for their own personal development, and they kind of, lag along or step along in life, but you'll see a difference between someone who is really ready and they're really about going to get it. And it's almost no matter what it is that they have their hand in, that's the energy that they bring to it. In their 20s, you say, he was always like that. We knew they have places in yearbooks most likely to succeed. What do you think people are tapping into when they see something with that person? And they don't say most likely to succeed at this particularly. Really, I think that's an exclamation point on what people see in terms of the essence of that person, the passion that person has. They're just most likely to succeed.
But there's always a reason to why.
And it's passion.
No, there's a reason why they think that person is most likely to succeed. You can't just be passionate about nothing.
It's the energy that they
but
bring.
You can have energy and be energetic about nothing. Like there are people that just have energy and they just have energy, but the person that's most likely to succeed has energy about something.
About everything.
No.
Everything that they do, not everything in the world, but they bring the energy to everything is what I'm saying. So
no.
But
no, because it could be the person most likely to succeed could be the person that don't even talk that much, that don't even socialize with everybody, but they're really good at school. And they'll say, "Oh, that person is most likely to succeed." So no, they're energetic. They have energy behind something. They don't just have.
So let me ask you a question. Can they coexist? Can it both be true?
It has to, because you have to have energy about something in order to be great. Like you can't just have something and no energy.
Let me ask it another way. Can it be true that someone can have the essence of passion that they bring to whatever it is that they're doing? That's just who they are as a person, as well as people who have passion that is expressed in what they're doing
but see,
in a given moment.
Just now you changed it, because you said the person just has passion, which was like raw energy, which was just had. But then just now you said they have passion about what they do, and that's what I said.
But that was a second. I said, can we agree that both can coexist? And then I described one.
No, you just put it together.
I described one. I said,
try it again.
A person who has the raw energy that they bring to whatever it is that they're doing.
Oh, so
that's one.
Right. So stop there.
But that's a raw energy. That's not something specific.
But stop there.
Okay.
We don't even have to go to the second part. You're just saying they have a raw energy that they bring to something, and that's why
to whatever. Right? It's not a particular thing.
Well, the thing is, you can't have raw energy and bring it to whatever. You got to bring it to something.
And that's why I said there's an essence of passion and there's an expression of passion.
All right. So which one is the one that you're saying just is energy?
An essence of passion.
The essence. So if somebody comes with the essence of passion, they will not get most likely to succeed. Because if you just have energy,
it's usually, to your point, is usually expressed in something.
This is what I'm saying. It has to be expressed to something in order for people to see that you're most likely to succeed.
Check this out. At the same time, what is expressed in changes from season to season, period to period.
For sure.
Moment to moment, season to season, and period to period. You agree with that?
Totally agree.
Then we don't have any. We don't have. We found agreement.
No, because you just made a whole no. And then to that point, that's why the person that's most likely to succeed sometimes doesn't succeed.
Why is that?
Because the passions can change from moment to moment. So what they was passionate about in high school, i.e., maybe a football player who was really great in high school, and they're like, oh, he's most likely to succeed because he's going to the NFL. Next season, he might not even be. He probably he probably done fell off the track. You know what I'm saying? Now it's no more passion, or he got an injury. No, and then is no more most likely to succeed because that track that he was on is no more. He diverted.
There's something that we're gonna unpack in another podcast, and it's the idea that life happens. We're gonna unpack that in another podcast.
But
Because
why do you?
and let me say this, because it can be real in the moment. It doesn't mean that, the high school counselors, the teachers, they're seeing something, but that something isn't necessarily absolute now, right? When we're saying most likely to succeed, we're using it as a reference point for our conversation. But
Mhm.
in its reality, yeah, there are people who may have been voted most likely to succeed that did not really realize that in their life. There are
Mhm.
people who are voted most likely to succeed who have realized it in their life.
Mhm.
It may have been an accurate and a fair representation in the moment from what they were seeing. The teachers, the guidance counselors, the principals, the community, the coaches, right? The lunchroom teacher, whoever. But life happens and we go along a course where we even prove the truth of who we are at different stages in life. Life will show us for who we are.
Mhm.
So they saw something at that time. Somebody may have seen something in you very early on, and it just stayed there. Did what they see. Was it accurate? Bet you it was. But look what we do to young people. How many young people do we know that a teacher or somebody told them, you'll never be nothing? And that's what resonated with. And this is the thing I'm talking about, where we kind of have abdicated our responsibility sometimes. The person who got most voted most likely to succeed, they got a positive affirmation.
Mhm.
Whether or not that materialized for them in their lives, that was partly on them and partly on their developmental path, right? But each of us has the opportunity to say, hey, here is my opportunity to become self aware. Here's my opportunity to take what I know about myself and what I am aware about in terms of developing my purpose and use that to be the fuel for whatever I do in life.
Mhm.
And that's the element of what I'm saying that we can throw back into the conversation for people. Now, how we measure, how we rank it, how we test it ultimately in our year in life over the years, that's going to be up to the individual and whatever community they find themselves in.
Let me cap this for me. Let me cap passions for me.
Cap passions.
Passions.
Don't cap your passions. Let your passions grow, my
Talking about the
guy.
topic.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Listen.
Give them
The
10
sky
seconds,
is the
y'all.
limit. The sky is the limit. Know the truth.
5 seconds.
Keep on. Just keep on keeping up.
1.
Sky's the limit.
Thanks. All right. So passions is a shell term. It's a shell term that needs other energy in order for it to mean something. If you don't have ambition and motivation behind your passions, they're just passions. They're just things that you like. They're desires. I understand that you want to call passion an energy,
It
but
is.
I don't think it is. It's only an energy or a force when coupled with motivation and ambition. Passions is something that you enjoy doing. But if you enjoy doing it, you can just do that for the rest of your life and nothing comes of it, or that it molds who you are. But if you attach motivation and ambition to passion, then it can become something greater depending on what type of passion it is. Let's say positive, it can become something greater in your life and benefit you. Or if it's a not so good passion, it can become something that hinders you in your life when coupled with motivation and ambition, because you can have ambition for the wrong things. And I think that's what you was hitting at when you said somebody who lost everything and woke up the next day and said, I have nothing, I'm gonna go get it. That's ambition. That's not passion. That's ambition. To be honest, at that very moment, I don't even know if they know what I don't want to say if they know what they're passionate about, but they don't know which passion they're going to use to get back up. Because let's say that person at one point was let's say they was let's let's say they was a radio host
Mm-hmm.
and they just fell, boom, don't have nothing no more. But they also know how to cook really good. You know, they also know how to care about people very well. They don't know which passion they're going to use to get back on their feet. But they just know that, listen, from here I'm going up, and that's ambition and motivation. Now you couple that with whichever passion they choose to grab, then they may become the best chef in the world. They may become the best announcer in the world. Like they may become the best caretaker in the world, coupled with the right ambition and motivation. But I think passion is just a shell term, or it can be interchangeable with desires or things that you just like.
I mean, one activity that I like to do when I hear people give a countering view of something I say is I process in my mind, it's possible that they're right. You know, when I listen, I say, what if they're right?
Mhm.
You know, and I do listen, and I say, what if they're right? Because that gives me the bandwidth to listen to what they're saying and
That's a shot, guys. Just to let y'all know.
to process, you know, what what position they're taking on the matter. Because people think through things in the same way, you know, person to person. You know, each person does have their own generator, their own mental generator. So what I hear Kevin saying, it brings to mind this idea of like an organism. Have you ever seen this picture of an organism like that shifts, a shape shifting organism, right? It here, but it's still the same organism, right? So Kevin and I, we're talking about the same organism, but it is shape shifting. You know, he's throwing in ambition and motivation, right? And attaching passion as an activity. And I'm presenting passion as the essence, the source. And motivation and ambition are fruit of passion that's developed in a sociological way, that's developed at a point in time when someone is developing their own person. And so I can see it, I can understand it, I can hear it, right? But that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the living organism. And so but what I need you to see is that every organism has energy.
Mhm.
And what's the energy source? So motivation can be temporary.
Mhm.
You can wake up with motivation today, and tomorrow you're not motivated.
Mhm.
You know, I went to the gym 2 times this week instead of the 4 or 5 that I aimed for. Wasn't really motivated.
Mhm.
Okay. Ambition is more analogous to what I might call passion, yet still what I would say is a fruit of passion.
Mhm.
Because passion is the force, the life force, that ball of energy that we are given toward life overall. Right? Who do I think about when I think about passion? I think about the actor who passed away, Chadwick Boseman.
Mhm.
When I look at that gentleman, I see a man who has an essence of passion about life. And I would say now, Kevin might say, well, you know, Chadwick Boseman was an actor. He was passionate about acting. Kevin might say he was passionate. He was primarily an actor, and he was good, right, at representing himself on screen. But when I watch his work, when I watch his acting work, I see someone who was intrinsically and deeply rooted in passion about life. And I wonder about that. I'm presenting the idea of where that comes from. An essence of passion that is born in the heart of a person. that might show up as ambition at times, might show up as motivation on certain days, but the passion of life remains. Some people, we're living in a time now where mental health is a great concern. And we're living in some trying times, some dreary days, economically, socially, politically, physically, environmentally. And but if we go and we measure, we take the thermometer and measure our passion about life, where does the measure at? Where is it measure at? And what I would like to say is that once we take the thermometer, the measurement, we can turn around and say, all right, I'm low. Let's turn up the thermostat. Let's turn up the thermostat. But here's the caution too. We have to do this for our young people because oftentimes the level and the measure of passion that we've developed at that portal of time, that inflection point in our youth where we're developing our awareness of the world, when we get to that height of passion in that moment, that's really the height that we most likely carry out through life. And so if we're talking about turning up the thermostat and we're in our 30s, we're in our 40s, it's sometimes hard to push past if we haven't really demonstrated that, shown that. That's why when we see people, young people with potential, it is a great opportunity and great exercise to encourage them, to push them toward whatever it is they're looking towards, just to encourage their sense of self. Because nothing is like darkening the mental clouds of a young person so that they don't get to level up into who they are designed to be. So I do hear you and I do understand, yes, ambition, motivation, and passion, right? Consider some of the things that I present here, you know, to form and develop in the science of what we're talking about with passion.
Okay. Sounds good. To kind of wrap passion up,
Yeah.
because I think we'll talk. We'll do this in the outtakes because I think I have a lot to say about what you just said, but I also want to
Okay.
bring it full circle because I think what we're doing right now is we're just hashing out, what it is, but ultimately we know what it is and we know what it's tied to, and ultimately it's tied to purpose. And I think that's really what we were trying to get at is
Yes.
what you're passionate about and what you use passion for ultimately becomes your purpose or non-purpose. And I say non-purpose because in my example, you can be passionate about a bunch of things that are not good for you and you can miss your purpose. Or you can be passionate about things that are essentially good for you and things that you like that were innate to you and you can find your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I think going back to my sons, what I would do is I would make sure that they understand that purpose is something that you want to, passion is something that you want to check on. You want to make sure that you understand what your passions are and what you're passionate about.
Yes.
And then you want to look and say, if I continue to be passionate about these things or I continue to have these passions, where will this take me? And ultimately, do I see my purpose down that road? And I think that's an important conversation. It's a really big conversation. It's probably an ongoing life conversation.
I
It
hope so.
probably continues to come up over time. And I think it's a much bigger conversation at the end of the day. I think that we'll probably revisit this, on another pod.
We will this is a developing evaluation, if you will, right? But here's the layer. Here's the layer. Purpose, passion, presence. The first layer of male masculinity is what we develop for ourselves and in ourselves and for the benefit of ourselves. In the second layer of male masculinity, we get into something called proaction. And I can see the conversation Kevin and I are having because the essence of passion develops in the first layer, and the expression of passion happens in the second layer, right? But they are not strict. They're not impermeable. It's not like you can't break through one layer to the next layer, right? But I will say this: even in the second layer, not to get too not to get too deep with it, but even in the second layer, we're still working on purpose, passion, and presence. We carry those elements through life. They mature, right? But now here's the grab. We can't fully actualize in the next level until we really actualize in the previous level. So we need to know purpose, passion, and presence, right? And once they become fully formed in us, then we move into really mastering what we do: proaction, provision, and protection, right? And that's part of why relationships have the challenges that they do, because from the man side, we're not going to talk about the challenges that the ladies have, but from the men's side, a lot of us men are moving in the second layer of masculinity without having really fully developed in that first layer of masculinity: purpose, passion, and presence. And we're going to talk deep about presence in the next podcast. So this is very interesting. It is an ongoing conversation.
I love it.
Deep. It's real.
I love it.
It's reflective, right? And it gives us something to dialogue about. We're not interested in pushing a mantle over somebody's back and saying you got to walk this way.
Mm-mm.
No, this is for. I love the dialogue, right? We have perspectives where we granted our perspectives, and that's okay, right? We don't have to absolutely see eye to eye, but what we can do is agree that where something has a positive inflection, has a positive influence, that we can use that to build us up. So this has been Ray Black and Kevin Waring with the second P and the 8 Ps of male masculinity on TRU-Man podcast, where we reflect on the work and the worth of a man, and we focus on gold paradigms and diamond principles. Let's go. Come back, family. We'll be talking on the next podcast soon. See ya.